Hey guys, it's Benjamin Zame, the author of Creating Freedom and the founder of Move, Learn, Create. And welcome back to the Manic Serenity, where I am helping people to become more receptive to the magic that is available to them in this life. And we are doing that by understanding and aligning ourselves with the actual fundamental mechanics of this creation, of this experience, so that we can consciously begin to evolve further into the human potential and the human possibility, and reclaim the birthright that we were told about so many years ago. So this is episode 27. We are going to talk about the transformation of hurt, the distinction between pain and suffering, and how to find new levels of freedom for ourselves by actually understanding and implementing this understanding into our life. So how often do you hurt? You know, how often do you actually feel pain? Do you feel suffering? And really, more importantly, how often do you allow yourself to really acknowledge that pain? To what degree do you allow yourself to actually feel the thing that is causing you to suffer? Because you see, pain and suffering are not the same thing at all. And it took me a long time, a great deal of time, to realize and understand this. I suffered, my entire life for any number of reasons, as we all do. And I always called that experience of suffering as my pain. And it didn't actually matter what was going on in my world. It didn't matter what was actually causing me pain. And in truth, I probably couldn't have even told you what it actually was, because I wasn't really looking deep into my own experience. I wasn't actually going within and using my awareness and using my focus and my attention and doing the work needed to get to the root cause of these issues. I just knew that I was suffering, and I called that experience my pain. And it wasn't until so many things happened, around the same time, so I can't really isolate which one did it. Certainly it was a combination of the things, but when I truly gave myself to spiritual practice, when I implemented, a curriculum, rigorous, relentless curriculum for learning, when I kind of cultivated an empowering movement practice and revitalized my body, when I put all these things together and then started to create magic, no matter how small, to create something and then share it with the world and share it with the people around me. It wasn't until then, when all of those things became the actual very constitution of my life, that I was able to see, or at least catch a glimpse of, that separation between suffering and pain, because I had heard this referred to before by teachers who I have, a profound respect for, but it was not within my experience. I had not seen a difference between suffering and between pain. For me, they were the same thing. So then it wasn't until I really prepared myself, till I diligently and consistently, with a certain level of discipline that I had never had before, when I was able to prepare myself and then, install clarity into my experience, to begin to see things clearly, to see what was actually there and not just react, based on my experience and what I wanted and didn't want. Then I was able to actually begin to experience that separation between the pain and the suffering that I could finally perceive, that I had caught a glimpse of. So it wasn't until I was able to actually experience that separation that I was able to truly feel my pain. And not until I could truly feel my pain was I able to learn what it meant to feel through that pain, to actually feel through that pain to the other side, and through that process, banish suffering from my life. And this is such a difficult thing to talk about. It's so hard to approach and address this in a way that will take hold with people. It's very difficult to talk about suffering and pain in general because each of us have a unique experience. We know that our situation is unique. So commiserating with each other is much easier than coming at this and saying, look, there's a way out here. And even though each of our situations are different, each of our experiences of pain are different, our fundamental right as human beings, the ability we have in our system to find freedom is based on this understanding, and it takes a certain amount of maturity to come to this and allow this into your experience. So I'm going to do the best I can to overcome the fact that we are all really just so heavily invested in our suffering. As you go through this journey and as you gain this clarity and move into the experience of separating pain from suffering, you will see that we are truly so heavily invested in our suffering, and it's an unfortunate reality, but it has to be directly addressed. We've all worked so hard to distract ourselves from our pain, which is a huge part of the problem of why we're suffering. We've allowed so many misguided efforts to kind of encompass our experience, to begin to define or totally define our experience and envelop us, just drown us in the very suffering that ultimately, we wish to be free from. I bring this up all the time, but it's just so relevant right now. We've allowed the world to force on our face, to plaster on our face these perfectly fake photogenic smiles all the time that we feel like we have to maintain to project a certain image. And the act of doing that ultimately prevents us from ever seeing why it truly is that we are hurting. So what we are seeking, it's so important to understand that what we are seeking is freedom from suffering, not freedom from pain. And to ever have a chance to really experience that freedom, we must be able to perceive the difference, to see that separation between our suffering and our pain. But how is that ever going to happen unless we can truly look at our pain? If we're fixated upon our suffering, but we won't look at our pain. So it's not going to be possible for us to ever see the difference, to ever escape suffering, unless we can clearly see our pain. So before I get into this, I'm going to say, if someone who's watching this right now, or if someone very close to you, anyone, that comes to mind, if something or someone is hurting you right now, if you are experiencing pain right now in this moment in your body, then I'm leaving that aside. I am not addressing, I'm not directly addressing that. So when I say I'm going to leave it aside, my father is in a great deal of pain, which I've witnessed, for a while. There are so many people that I know who are in a phenomenal amount of pain, and that is something that, that to talk about that would be like, I'm healthy, I'm exuberantly happy and joyful, and to try to talk to people about the issue of pain and struggle when and say something about their physical pain, I can't do that. That's like talking about how to raise kids when you've never had children or something. I mean, like it's not, that's an obscene thing to do. So I'm leaving that aside. But when I say that I'm leaving that aside, I'm not saying that what I'm talking about here is not relevant for those people. In fact, it's most relevant for those people. It's just that I'm not going to use that experience of pain, that physical pain, as a way to approach the ultimate truth that we're seeking to understand here. I'm leaving that aside and coming at it from a different approach, a different direction, out of respect and to these people who are going through things that I'm not going through. And then hopefully they will, stick with the process. Hopefully if you're one of these people, you'll still hear me out and see that ultimately the truth at the end of it is the same. It's going to be different for you in your experience as it's different for everyone. But ultimately this understanding, this possibility for freedom from suffering is absolutely accessible for you, even though the reality of your actual pain may be so tremendous and so awful. So let's get into it. So if someone, for everyone else, if someone or something is causing you pain, but it is not being inflicted in this very moment, if you are not being physically hurt right now, then where is this pain? Where is this pain? It's in the mind, isn't it? It's in the mind. And where is it in your mind? Because we have to understand this. It's in your memory or it's in your imagination. It's in the way your pain resides, in the way that you are choosing in this present moment to either perceive something that is in the past or to imagine something that hasn't yet come. It's something that you're holding on to or you're actively creating, not something that's being given to you or more appropriately said, maybe being done to you. It's not being inflicted upon you. It's something that you are actively choosing to hold on to or choosing to create. Now, you're not consciously doing this. It's happening in your mind because of habits and a certain momentum. But it is you. It is you who are doing it. It's not being, no one's poking you. No one's poking you with a hot iron. It's happening within you. So if you're going to have the possibility for freedom to overcome this situation, you first have to acknowledge the responsibility that definitely this is within the realm of what you can handle. This is within yourself. So when we say that it's in your memory or in your imagination, we could also easily just try to dismiss it right away and say that it isn't real. This would be the new age, super woke, enlightened approach. We'll just say the only reality is what is there right now in this present moment, and all your pain is in your memory or your imagination, so it's not real. End of story. But this is not a productive way for people to approach the reality of their pain. It would be so much more productive if we can truly acknowledge that this pain is real and acknowledge it with clarity and with maturity, but in a different way than one that is dismissive just because of a perspective that maybe one person is rooted in, but most people are not. So you're going to always hear me, and you have heard me so much talk about honoring the struggle, right? I endlessly talk about this, how the strength that you need to carry your dreams is found and created in the process of overcoming hardship, of overcoming pain. And feeling through pain, this thing that I say so often, feeling through pain is how you honor the struggle. Feeling through your pain is how you honor your struggle. Okay, that is the process. And now we've determined that this struggle, this pain, this hardship is actually dwelling in your memory. It's you're suffering this pain that resides in your imagination. And already in this moment, somehow through lack of vigilance and lack of awareness, we're allowing ourselves to choose to suffer, to choose to experience pain because of something that isn't real, something that we keep recreating in our experience or furiously clinging to that it was far in the past. So we've acknowledged that. Now, I'm not telling you that to overcome this, you have to go out and become enlightened. I'm not telling you that you have to right now master your entire system. These things take a lot of time to work through. These are complex aspects of the human system that are determining your experience to a massive degree that we're just simply not aware of because we haven't looked at them closely. We haven't given our attention to them. We've just allowed them to run and pick up speed as they're influenced by so many external things, because we haven't, through a process of cultivating clarity, we haven't positioned ourselves to be the conscious, creators of our experience. It's just kind of happening to us, but it's also, being created through us and from us. So I'm not going to tell you that you have to master that whole process, and I'm not going to ever say that your pain and your hardships are just nonsense, because yes, they are, for most of us, like 99.9% of the time. None of it is actually existentially real right now in this moment in the creation. That's true, but it doesn't really matter for most of us. I'm acknowledging, and we have to collectively acknowledge that our suffering, your suffering, your unique struggle, is a very, very real experience. It doesn't matter where it comes from. It is a very real experience, and it has to be acknowledged. And I know that you're acknowledging it, but finally, like, can I just take a moment and just say I'm sorry for whatever it is that you're going through. Like, I acknowledge it. I see it everywhere, all of the time. I am not just turning my back to all the years that I suffered. I'm looking right at it. And so the same way that I acknowledge my struggle, I acknowledge yours. And so then the next step, as we've done here, is to acknowledge that this suffering that we're experiencing, this suffering is being caused by pain. Okay? The suffering is not the pain. The suffering is being caused by pain that we have experienced already and then in our memory, or we've created it in our imagination. We call this worry. When we're worrying, we're creating pain in our experience for something that hasn't even happened yet. I mean, at least the memories, that did happen. Okay, so we didn't work through it. We haven't had the fortitude to work through all those things that happened, and so for so many reasons we're still clinging to them. But the worrying's just got to go. I can be a little bit more upfront about this aspect, because it just hasn't happened yet, right? We're just creating it in our mind, and we're worrying, and we think that makes us responsible, and because we're concerned and we're invested in people's well-beings. But to worry is just an absurd activity. Like, there's beautiful scriptures about worry, like, don't worry about tomorrow will handle itself. You can't say it much more simply than that. So from that, we can identify that the suffering and the pain, or we can begin to identify that the suffering and the pain are not the same thing. So if they're not the same thing, you have no need to suffer. You are not required to suffer by your pain. This is not the case. I know it seems that way at first. It seems like a no-brainer, but it's not. They're actually don't even have to be connected. They only are right now because we haven't gone through the process necessary to de-link them. So you don't have to, and to de-link them, you don't have to go delete your memories. You don't have to do away with your imagination to become free from suffering. And in fact, I'll tell you again, and I keep telling you every week in one way or another, to actually do the exact opposite. Don't do away with these incredible parts of yourself, these phenomenal tools that we have, all the mechanisms that function through our memory and imagination. Don't diminish the possibility. Don't discard a portion of this incredible tool set that you've been given as a human being. I keep telling you, honor your pain, celebrate your hardships. And now I'm also telling you that those hardships and that pain is just in your memory and in your imagination. So what to do? What do we do now? Well, we use our awareness. We use this understanding. We start from here now, fresh. Use your power of focus. Turn your attention and look at what is there right now, and then look at what is in your memory. Look at what is there right now, and then distinguish that, separate that from what is in your imagination, from what you are worrying about. It's just because you're thinking of your memories right now, you think that that is present right now. It's not. Because you're worrying about something right now, you think that that is present right now. It's not. It's just in your mind. This is separate. This is a separate part of your experience. You have so much more available within you to define your experience, to deliberately create your experience than just these parts of your mind. You need not be the servant. You need not be the servant to these functions. You, through just a deliberate practice of deciding consciously where you're going to give your focus, where you're going to give your attention, you can become the master of these functions. Okay, so that's how we start. We distinguish between what is happening now and what is a process going on in our brain, in our memory, in our imagination. So because the act of remembering is happening now, our suffering is happening now. Because the act of worry, of creating something in the future that's unpleasant, just in our head, because that's happening now, again, our suffering is happening now. But is the pain happening now? No, the pain is not happening now. It's just the thoughts in your head that are creating the suffering. Suffering definitely is happening now. Pain very clearly is not happening now. So you can see so easily that they are not the same. Your suffering is a present moment experience that's being caused by your superficial clinging. And I say superficial just because it's very much on the surface of what you are. It's just in these parts of your mind that there's so much more depth to what you are. You're such a profoundly, immeasurably powerful possibility, this thing that you are. It's so incredible. And so to define yourself by an experience in the mind, I don't mean to be disrespectful by saying it's superficial. I'm just saying that it's on the surface. It's a shallow assessment of your capacity, which is so far beyond, the need, the compulsive need to identify and define your experience based on some shallow function, surface function of the mind. So because we're clinging to the idea of this pain, just the idea of the pain in the memory or in the imagination, we think that that they're the same thing because we've brought it into our experience, but it's not. Suffering is now, pain is not now. And what are we seeking freedom from? We're seeking freedom from suffering. So this is totally in our hands. This is completely in our hands. And it makes me think of when Rumi said, and I think I definitely have brought this up before, this is so beautiful. Rumi said, "The wound is where the light enters you." So amazing. Do you think that he was telling you that you need to suffer? When I tell you that you think that you're suffocating in suffering when your spirit is dancing in diamonds, that you feel as if you're drowning because you're fighting against the very wave that's trying to carry you to the shores of your deliverance. Do you think that I'm telling you that you need to suffer? That freedom is hardship? No, we're trying to tell you that the answers that you're looking for are already within you, which is to say, the lessons that you need to learn were already taught to you in those moments that you call as pain. I'm going to say that again. The things that you are looking for are already within you, because the things that you need to be taught, the lessons you need to learn were already given to you in the moments that you call as pain. So we're trying to show you that the victory you seek will be found in a battle that you have already fought. You've already done the work. You've already went through the things that you need, that you need to go through. That the fake smile, the clinging to suffering, these are the things that are preventing you from looking in the one place where absolutely all of your treasures are hiding, within you. You already have it. So the reason that you keep going through the same things over and over and over again is just simply because you are refusing right now. If you are suffering, if you are suffering, we should back up, then definitely you are going through the same things over and over again. There's just there's no way. If you're experiencing pain, that doesn't mean that you're going through the same things. People who are living powerful lives, breaking new ground, moving into new discoveries, they experience pain all the time. But they're not suffering. If you are suffering, it's because you're going around and around and around and around, and you're experiencing the same things over and over again. And if this is happening, it is 100% because you are refusing to turn your attention inwards to the wounds that already lie within you. And then through that focused, deliberate attention, through that clear, piercing gaze, open them up and allow the light of salvation to enter you, truly to free you. This is how the process happens. I don't ever want you to have to hurt ever again. And if you do hurt, I certainly don't want you to waste another moment of your experience, another moment of your time suffering because of that pain. Because if pain happened, there's a reason. Let us not ignore it and waste our time suffering because of that pain. I just want to flip on the light bulb that allows you to see that you already overcame those battles. You already made it. You already won countless times. You've already suffered those wounds, that the only step left for you to take is to simply turn your attention inward and allow yourself to see the pain, to look at the pain in a way that allows you to move through it, to move through these places of hurt that you so badly want to pretend are not there. I am not free because I am free of pain. I am not, believe me. I am not free of pain, but I am free. And I'm free because I no longer suffer my pain. My eyes are not shining because all of my wounds are healed. This light is there because they are all bared wide open lest I miss, a single ray of this light that really deep down you are longing for so deeply. And so I have to acknowledge that I spent too long, so much extra time that was unnecessary. I spent too long running away from hurt. And it was only for that reason that I was hurt over and over again and again and again until finally, thank God, till finally I realized the truth, that I'm sharing or trying to share with you now through this tale of the human endeavor that we're all trying to maneuver our way through, this story, the true story of the transformation of hurt, that it was only when I embraced my pain that it became love and embraced me in return. So thank you so much for being here. I hope this resonated with you no matter what you're going through. I hope this helped and served you in some way. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Share this with everybody. That is most important to me, that this reaches as many people as possible. And then definitely, if you haven't already, go into the description for this video and just click all the links. Click all the links. It's all free, well, except the donation link, but click that one too. But the free resources that are there, these are things that I've poured a tremendous amount of energy in. They're massive projects that I'm so proud of. These free courses, the Momentum Masterclass, how to very deliberately, in the most simple way, in the most fundamental way. How do you align your life in such a way that it moves you unwaveringly towards what it is that you are truly trying to become, how it is that you truly want to be, and through that process, discover exactly what you should be doing and how to do it, and move from a state of constant unfulfilled desire to this incredible, freedom of perpetual fulfillment. That is this amazing resource. Please take advantage of it. The momentum. And then the free Creating Freedom ebook. This is a 70-page. This is a profound document. This is something that absolutely captures the struggle that I went, not only the struggle that I went through from being in prison, being totally broken with absolutely nothing, with this incredible set of limitations in front of me, these phenomenal boundaries and chains that I had allowed, to be built up and to really put me, subjugate me and turn me into a slave, of the worst sort. How did I then, as I went through this experience, how did I come up with a method and a plan for myself that brought me to where I am now? Because it was deliberate, it was step by step, and it is clearly outlined for you, not only what I did in the book, but also in the free mini course, the Creating Freedom mini course. You click that link, you get sent the book. 3 days later, I start sending you the mini course. So please do that so that you can take those methods, and if not all of them, at least pieces that resonate with you, and implement them into your life to take these tools for transformation and make them your own. So please do that, and I will talk to you again next week. Thank you.